Alright guys, welcome to another edition of Southern Home Talk and What's in Spanish Fort. I'm taking a right on the Highway 225 from 31. Now actually was heading westbound from 31. That's the causeway there heading to Mobile. So if you were coming back from Mobile and you lived in one of these back neighborhoods of Spanish Fort, probably the best way to get there would be coming up 225. So I am northbound on Highway 225. And that's the Blakely Square Shopping Center I just did an episode on. Also up 225, there's some smaller neighborhoods. That's one right there, Falls Church, all those houses in the 90s back there. Another neighborhood, the Cameron Ridge, I think, and there's the Spanish Fort Elementary School there. So all this is going by really quick, so I'm sorry about that. But that's where I went to school, I think 1966. So some apartments there and storage units. This is the Woodlands subdivision. Most of those houses are in the 90s. There's Quail Hollow. Those are kind of like townhomes. And this is a 2-lane road, Highway 225. You got to be careful going up this. Okay, if you notice my other episode that I had on Spanish Fort Estates, that's the back entrance to Spanish Fort Estates right there. That's going to Blakely Forest. And we're still northbound on 225. But we're coming up on the entrance pretty quick to what I call the last edition of Spanish Fort Estates. That's another part of Blakely Forest right there too. Those are real nice houses in Blakely Forest. So I'm gonna put my blinker on, make the entrance right here. And Spanish Fort Estates. I believe this addition back here might have a small HOA. And there again, some of these Civil War names. General Canby, he was one of the Union generals. He was actually the one in charge of the Union troops that laid siege here. General Canby was actually a pretty decent man. He was killed during the Indian Wars, negotiating a peace treaty. So these houses back in this part of the neighborhood. This is Speckled Trout Route. We're just going down. Some of these not all have Civil War names, but most of them do. Especially when you get to this newer part. But most of these houses here, I would say, date late 90s to early 2000s, mid 2000s. But some probably have been built all the way up until now. And this is a real nice part of this neighborhood too. It's got sidewalks. I would say a lot of the people that live in the older part of the neighborhood come to this section of the neighborhood for Halloween because of the sidewalks. And there seems to be a lot more people involved in celebrating Halloween in this part of the neighborhood. It's really a nice place for kids. Even for adults, I enjoy trick-or-treating too. These are just short little streets. That's all they have is little cul-de-sacs at the end of them. This pretty much just makes one long sweeping loop through this area. It's Ben's Bluff. Like I say, the streets get shorter. This just comes down to a cul-de-sac here at the very end. But there's some houses that go up on the right-hand side of this as well. Like I say, see some really nice homes that's been built back here. And we're also on the back side of what's called Manette Bay. Another historical marker up here and a turnaround as well. That gravel road goes back to some pretty nice houses that are up that way. I'm not going to go up there. But yeah, there's some pretty nice houses on that bluff. And so if you were on that bluff, you could actually see down to Manette Bay down below. Start seeing some of the older oak trees too on this side. And just know that if you have trees that are really close to the house, especially red oak and water oak and pine trees, I would probably have them removed. Live oaks, and that's a magnolia tree, they're actually pretty wind resistant. And believe it or not, live oaks are as well. So you can see where General Canby connects back. So we're just going to take it again, going to the back side of this. Now, Purvis Road has been there for quite some time before this neighborhood was built. It was just a long dirt road that came back to that. Don't see many houses back in this section for sale. I think there could be some lots that are available in here to build on. I don't think all of them have been built on yet. A lot of these houses do have garages. And have underground utilities as well. Most likely, all these houses here are probably going to be on city sewer. I wouldn't think there'd be any septic tanks systems on this, but it's possible that they could have. Just know that if you buy a house in the new neighborhood or newer neighborhood, does not necessarily mean that it can be on city sewer. Here, Admiral Farragut Way, that's another. So we're kind of sort of back where we started, where we turned on the speckled trout, and I'm going to go ahead and take you on out to show how you can also get to this from the old estates as well. Well, called the old, Spanish Fort Estates. I don't need to confuse you with that, because there is an old estates, which I'll do one on that here pretty shortly. We just passed the entrance we came in on, by the way. So this is circling back out. We're actually heading southbound now. And of course, it winds pretty good. It's still hilly. This Admiral Farragut Way. So these houses we just left, like I said, are probably late 90s, early 2000s. But this leads up to the houses that were built in the early 90s and mid 90s. So like I said, the further you go north in Spanish Fort, the newer they get. And so we're at the area now where these houses in here were mostly built in the early 90s and mid 90s. But they're still nice homes. And it's also a good area too to go trick-or-treating as well. We try to hit this neighborhood too. A lot of these people go out and actually do a good job decorating their houses. Still got a lot of old growth trees in here. Like I say, a lot of this didn't get logged too much during the 60s and 70s. So a lot, you still see some old growth woods in here. I used to go squirrel hunting back here in the 70s and 80s. This was all woods back then, and no one thought too much of it. I mean, you could actually hunt back here with relatively safety. I mean, there wasn't much out here that you could hit, and you can see we're starting to see some more water there to the right, and that's the Blakely River there again, probably part of Manette Bay as well. And we have another historical marker there. They're all through these neighborhoods, these historical markers. So this is a Union battery that was here. The Union did everything they could to encroach upon the Confederate defenses here. So they had a lot of people, like say 36,000 of them. And so they had plenty of equipment to go along with it. And so they put these battery emplacements all around the different forts the Confederates were manning in this part of the neighborhood. So pretty much these back part sections here kind of do more of loops, long sweeping loops with little short streets that kind of jut off to the side with cul-de-sacs at the end of them. And this is a nice part of the neighborhood as well. Like I say, I don't think there's any bad section of Spanish Fort Estates. I think they're all good in their own way, and it's just a matter of what you feel comfortable with. You know, how new a house do you want? Like I say, that I would entertain buying some of these older houses, like I said in my past episodes, because they were built pretty good with old lumber, which has a lot more tensile strength than this newer lumber that's out. That goes to a cul-de-sac down that way. You know, so I'm going to take a right here so you can kind of sort of see how this connects with the older part of the estates. This is called Southern Way, and Southern Way has been here since the 70s. And so you can see we're starting to get a little bit older now. Another historical marker there. You can actually make a day just going around looking at those. I will do an episode on the history of Spanish Fort, but I'm going to go ahead and take a sharp left here, and this connects to Spanish Main, so you can get to these neighborhoods back here coming into the old entrance. So you got several ways of accessing these newer subdivisions of Spanish Fort Estates. So we're on Spanish Main. I'm fixing to take a right on the Spanish Main. And if you've seen my episode on Spanish Fort Estates, I've actually showed this. And so we're heading south on Spanish Main, and if I was to keep going, I've run into the red light at the two service stations up there to get to Mobile. So anyway, I'm gonna cut this short because this was probably been a little bit longer than it should be. And just, if you're interested in seeing the other videos, just go to this playlist of titled Spanish Fort. Thanks for watching, guys.